Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics. And I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top 50 Latino as voted on by the Latino Spirit online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, and certainly now more than ever, ladies and gentlemen, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media because my level of honesty is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, it's me, Fernando Uribe. Happy March, everyone. Hope you're having a great start here to the month. Obviously, spring is right around the corner. We'll be setting the clocks ahead shortly, and maybe we'll see some warm weather soon enough. Maybe some day drinking down by the pier in Hoboken, maybe going down the shore. Whatever the case may be, folks, hey, spring and summer, can't come soon enough for me, and I'm sure for all of you as well. But here on the show, folks, hey, we're always talking politics, and so let's get started. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you had a chance to read the pretty extensive decision by the Supreme Court earlier in the week, the 9 justices unanimously decided that the 45th president, Donald Trump, can stay on the ballot leading up to not just upcoming primary and Super Tuesday, but obviously the general election later on this November for his, potential rematch with the sitting president, Joe Biden. I'm going to just give you some context here about why this is really important. Now, states have no authority, again, according to the decision there, to remove the 45th president from the 2024 presidential ballot. Now, the Supreme Court ruled, as I mentioned, unanimously on this, short-circuiting efforts by his detractors, by many on the left, sort of mainstream establishment liberal media, all the woke crowd, the LGBT army, whatever you want to call it, folks, progressives. They were sort of salivating at the fact that, hey, the state of Colorado, the state of Illinois, and other states were attempting to keep the 45th president off the ballot. And obviously, again, you don't need a law degree to know that once it reached the highest court in the land, it was going to be indeed struck down. And certainly the premise by a lot of the detractors is for his, supposed alleged role in the January 6th, 2021 attack on the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., which, again, by the way, folks, he's not been convicted of that, okay? And, there's something called due process. Maybe you've heard of it. And for those on the left and progressives and the woke fools and everyone out there that, that sort of have Trump derangement syndrome on sort of on an hourly basis, again, that's not what the 45th president is standing trial on. Obviously, a lot of these trials happening in different parts of the country are, let's be honest, like clear witch hunts. But the point is that he has not been found guilty of even incurring an insurrection or participating in one. But again, let me not digress. Now, the justices did not weigh on the sort of important question of whether Trump engaged in an insurrection by attempting to subvert the 2020 election results or stoking the violence on January the 6th. But the High Court ruled in an sort of an opinion that only Congress, not the states, I'll say it again, only Congress, only the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, not the states, can disqualify a presidential candidate under the Constitution's, quote, insurrection clause. Now, again, if you have not been convicted of any sort of insurrection, and by all accounts from what I'm reading, he's not going to be, then what exactly are you trying to keep him off the ballot for? In any event, the justice's decision overturns a Colorado ruling that would have removed President Trump from the ballot in that state. Now, the decision spells doom for a plethora of other state-level challenges to Trump's qualification under a very sort of loose and very, very ambiguous interpretation of a 14th Amendment clause that says that those who engage in, quote, an insurrection after taking an oath to support the Constitution are ineligible to hold office again. Well, folks, again, I had the privilege of being there on January 20th in 2017 for the inauguration of Donald Trump. Okay, I braved sort of the cold day, a little bit of rain, but I was there, and I remember distinctly seeing Donald J. Trump put his hand on a Bible and take the oath of office to swear to protect and preserve and uphold the Constitution of the United States, which I would say is a hell of a lot more than we're seeing from the 46th president, which I'm sure he'll try to embellish coming up later in the week when he addresses the nation for the State of the Union address. If, keeping the borders open and letting more than 7 million illegals get into the country and be here illegally, if that's a way to uphold the Constitution and preserve sovereignty, which, by the way, folks, that's a premise that's contained in the Constitution under the executive branch. The executive branch is responsible for, again, preserving sovereignty. But, those on the left, again, they must have slept through that day in American history. But in any event, folks, the notion that the 45th president engaged in any sort of insurrection or contributed to an insurrection is utter nonsense. I think we've seen the footage. We've seen that in many instances it was indeed a guided tour by many Capitol Police officers within the Capitol building itself. Now, do I encourage anyone, and do I stand by people causing destruction to public property like the Capitol building? Of course not. I think that was wrong. Obviously, there was a small handful of individuals who acted recklessly and irresponsibly and ultimately criminally. But the idea, folks, that those on the left, and again, whether it's mainstream, sort of national news like MSNBC, CNN, the New York Times, the LA Times, the Washington Post, take your pick, folks, or even sort of mainstream establishment media here in New Jersey. We all know what I'm talking about, right? I mention them quite often on this program and obviously other programs within my immediate brand. We all know who I'm talking about, the Useless Eight here in New Jersey, right? For example, Uncle Dave, David Cruz from NJ Spotlight News, Little Maddie Friedman from Political NJ, certainly Tommy Boy, Tom Moran from the Star Ledger editorial board, Chucky, of course, Chucky Schmucky, of course, Uncle Chuck, Charles Style, the editorial board at NorthJersey.com via the Bergen Record, or Maxie Pizarro from Insider NJ, or Little Jay Lassiter, also from Insider NJ, or Sleepy Alan Steinberg, also from Insider NJ, or Little Terrence McDonald from the New Jersey Monitor. Again, folks, these are the people that would have you believe that, again, what happened during the summer of 2020 didn't happen. But they're so fixated on January 6th that they sort of forget that many on the left, whether it's, BLM, we all know that organization, right? Buy large mansions. That's all the leadership is doing at BLM, right? It's just buying large properties. Or Antifa activists, right, who, looted and vandalized and destroyed not just only public property, but private property throughout the entire summer of 2020 to what? Let me see. Commemorate the memory of a career criminal like George Floyd. Folks, you ever seen his arrest report? You know what his last arrest was right before he passed in the summer of 2020? Yeah, he robbed a pregnant woman at gunpoint. Okay, this is the guy that the left idolizes and would erect statues and have multiple funerals for, and make sure that millions of dollars went to his family. All right, this is what people looted and rioted and vandalized over in the summer of 2020, but not a peep from the liberal mainstream media. Right? It was peaceful protesting, or people just feel unjustly marginalized. That's all we heard of the summer of 2020. But from the morning of January 7th, 2021, all we've heard is January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. That's all we've heard from the liberal media nationally and the liberal media here in New Jersey. Again, they continue to have a party in their pants. I don't think there's enough clean underwear with the aforementioned Useless Eight that I just listed when it comes to talking about January 6th. But again, let me not digress. Bravo to the Supreme Court for doing the right thing. Again, folks, you don't need a law degree to understand that when you read the 14th Amendment and when you understand what the insurrection clause is, Donald Trump doesn't fit that criteria. Okay? And it's rich for people on the left, not just in New Jersey, but nationally, to be talking about, well, we have to reelect Joe Biden because if we don't, we run the risk of eroding our democracy. We run the risk of seeing our democracy die. No, folks, here's the truth. And again, I know a lot of you out there struggle with the truth, just like the aforementioned that I listed struggle with that four-syllable word. Integrity. Yeah, it's a big four-syllable word for them. Okay? You're so busy talking about preserving democracy. Well, isn't keeping someone off the ballot undemocratic? Right? If you think your policies are so great, and again, I'm looking forward to the State of the Union address. It's going to be interesting at 9 o'clock Eastern time to see how much Adderall they're going to inject into Joe Biden to make sure that he's awake at 9 o'clock to address the nation. All right? But if your policies are so great and Joe Biden is so great, and again, folks, he doesn't deserve 4 more years, 4 more months, 4 more hours, or 4 more minutes. But if you believe in your heart of hearts that Joe Biden has done such an extraordinary job, which he hasn't, he's left the border open, interest rates are still as high as ever. Anyone buying homes? No. Gas prices are still high. Inflation's still a problem. Food prices are really paralyzing working class families, not just in New Jersey, but throughout the country. Okay? But again, in Joe Biden's America, we have to make sure, again, there's a lesbian in every cabinet position in Washington. We have to make sure there's enough trans people in the military. And we have to make sure that we're not misgendering people. And we have to make sure that, again, you know, hey, listen, that the border remains wide open like it's Costco on Black Friday. Okay? That is the state of where we are right now, folks, as a country. Okay? So again, if you think that Joe Biden's policies are so great, then have him in his potential rematch against Donald Trump in November. But keeping him off the ballot, folks, it's a slippery slope. And even the 3 liberal justices on the court went with the more conservative ones. Because, again, do you want to start setting a precedent about who to keep off a ballot? Whether it's Republicans or Democrats? I don't think anyone should be kept off a ballot. How about that one? Okay, so for those in the national media, and more so here in New Jersey media, you know, stop talking the piles of, you know what it is I'm about to say, about democracy. Well, let's be honest, you don't believe in democracy in the least. Because if you did, you'd be applauding the Supreme Court's unanimous decision this week to ensure that the 45th president is not kept off any ballot leading into this November. But again, folks, that would require those at CNN, MSNBC at the national level, and those that will require those here in New Jersey at all these garbage news sites to have, again, wait for it, it's that pesky 4-syllable word that a lot of them struggle with. I'm going to say it again, integrity. That's a big word for a lot of you guys out there. So either you believe in democracy completely or you don't. You don't get to cherry pick when you believe democracy works. I'm sorry, folks, you don't get to cherry pick when you think democracy is in peril. No, folks, allowing someone to be kept off of a ballot, that right there are the baby steps. That's sort of the insemination of the egg when we start seeing democracy erode. But do you think anyone on the left looks at it that way? Of course not. They're so concerned about January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. Folks, again, you have to be a little intellectually honest on this program, which I am, and philosophically consistent, which I continue to be. For everyone on the left that keeps crying about January 6th, okay, that's all well and good. What was your outrage 4 years ago during the summer of 2020 when BLM activists and Antifa rioters were destroying police stations, were vandalizing public buildings, were harassing people having dinners, okay? Were looting, shoplifting, vandalizing, okay? All in the name of a career criminal, okay? Which, I'm sorry, oh, was I not supposed to say that out loud? Well, too bad I did. Folks, again, I'm here to tell you the truth in this show. And sometimes the truth isn't easy to hear because I'm not here to baby you. I'm not here to nurse you, okay? I'm not here to breastfeed you and provide you some sort of nourishment. No. The only nourishment I'm going to give you on this program, folks, is the truth. And the truth is that for those on the left that always bitch and moan about democracy, you should be applauding the Supreme Court, not vilifying it, because what they did actually was preserve democracy. This isn't Cuba. This isn't Venezuela. This isn't North Korea. This isn't China. This isn't even Ecuador or even, Peru or other parts of socialist or communist Latin America. Folks, those countries and those societies remove people from ballots. Those are people that prevent fair and free elections. Okay? That's a cornerstone of this country, unless I missed it somewhere. But again, folks, kudos to the Supreme Court for getting it right on this issue. Because quite honestly, folks, as I said before, you either believe in democracy completely or you don't. You don't get to cherry pick. I'm not going to let you get away with that. And unfortunately, the liberal media here in New Jersey and nationally constantly live on it. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. Now some local stories for your consideration. A special thank you to John Hines, fellow Rutgers alumnus, a member of the Pinnacle, and the editor of the Hudson County View for his publishing of this very, I think, laughable editorial. Folks, Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala, again, is at it again. And certainly, we all know he is a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 8th Congressional District. And he had the sort of audacity, again, as he does often, to talk out of both sides of his mouth. And he did so in a recent editorial. Now, he explains why he's in support of the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's vision for Liberty State Park. He writes, With the future of Liberty State Park hanging in the balance, residents of Hudson County have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to shape the future of the 600-acre haven located at the footsteps of the Statue of Liberty. After attending a recent public hearing hosted by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, the DEP, it is clear that there is an overwhelming momentum behind the DEP's well-thought-out proposal to revitalize Liberty State Park that preserves open spaces, restores hundreds of acres of contaminated land, and adds needed active recreation. In contemplating the use of public land, it is crucially important for decision makers to listen to the input of various community groups and stakeholders. Sam Pessin, the tireless leader of Friends of Liberty State Park, has fought for years to preserve and protect the park from large-scale development and commercialization at the hands of special interest groups. Again, Robbie's being completely dishonest here, but more on that later. The DEP has incorporated feedback from thousands of Hudson County residents to come up with an attractive mix of passive and active spaces, largely in line with Sam's vision for the park. Proposals to add an out-of-scale 5,000-seat stadium and 7,000-seat concert venue do not meet this vision, and rightfully so, says the guy who came and fixed plumbing in the city of Hoboken and is letting rats run rampant, not just in City Hall, right, like, being government employees at City Hall, but running rampant in our garbage bags all throughout the Mile Square City. But more on that later. This present predicament surrounding Liberty State Park is not all too dissimilar to the threats we have faced in our own efforts to protect Hoboken's public waterfront. Along two regions of our uptown waterfront, Hoboken faced the prospects of two large residential towers at the Monarch site and a heavy ferry refueling depot at the former Union Dry dock property. Thanks to steadfast advocacy from our residents, local nonprofits, and stakeholders, including Mr. Pessin, Hoboken was able to preserve the entire uptown waterfront for public open space. We also know a thing or two about flood remediation in Hoboken. When? What remediation, Robbie? Hoboken's flooded underwater like every other day. Like, what remediation? What, opening up a new park? A new dog park? Or making sure that Drag Queen Storytime takes place at the Hoboken Public Library? Using taxpayer dollars? Really? Is this how you're addressing, like, flooding? I mean, folks, it's a joke. But again, let me continue. Okay? In other words, the ability to store water within the park's proposed green infrastructure when it rains, similar to what occurs in Hoboken's resiliency parks. Make no mistake about it, this is a crucial and well-utilized tool that will keep hundreds of thousands of gallons of rainwater away from streets and sidewalks of surrounding neighborhoods, not the other way around. I'm fully confident the final product at Liberty State Park will reflect the charm and vision presented by the DEP and supported by Mr. Pessin, a beautiful, breathtaking waterfront open space with a mix of passive open spaces and active recreation, free from large-scale commercialization that will all become the crown jewel of our Hudson County waterfront. Now, again, folks, I mean, folks, I can't help but laugh here. Okay, I'm looking at this editorial here, and again, Ravi Bala, as always, and he's really good at it, continues to talk out of both sides of his mouth. Okay, as someone who has interviewed basketball Hall of Fame coach Bob Hurley, the president of the People's Park Foundation, which again is very well intentioned in what they want to have done at Liberty State Park. Okay, what Mr. Pessin is doing is just sort of dilly-dallying, and let's be honest, he's just been pussyfooting around with this project forever. Now, do I trust anything come out of Trenton, much less the Department of Environmental Protection? I don't trust Trenton to regulate a budget. You think I'm going to trust them to make sure that Liberty State Park is well regulated or cleaned up eventually? Of course not. But I'll tell you who does have good intentions, and that's the People's Park Foundation. Again, with Hall of Fame basketball coach Bob Hurley and all the good people that work with the People's Park Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the reality. Okay? You can do both. You can clean up what's contaminated in Liberty State Park, right, and rightfully so. Why not? But you can also have some amenities that will make Liberty State Park more attractive to visit. Yes, I love the Liberty Science Center. I'm a nerd. I love going, okay, to Liberty Science Center for various types of events. But that in itself, folks, is not enough to draw any revenue or to draw people to Liberty State Park. Okay? When it comes to picnic areas, if you want to go and maybe have a picnic with your family or your loved one on the grass at Liberty State Park, folks, I hate to break it to you, but parking at Liberty State Park and then walking to any viable grassy area for a picnic, folks, is a significant hike. And if you're carrying a lot of things with you, trust me, it's quite laborious. All right? But never mind all that stuff. Okay, at the heart of the matter, quite frankly, is what the People's Park Foundation is advocating for. Once again, a 5,000-seat stadium and a 7,000-seat concert venue. Folks, I don't know about you, but have you seen some of the facilities in the Jersey City Public School District? Have you seen some of the fields that Jersey City high school football teams, soccer teams, baseball teams, and track and field teams have to run and play on? Folks, I watch high school sports, okay? I've seen it firsthand. These facilities are falling apart, okay? If anywhere, again, if you could use a small space for a 5,000-seat stadium, why not there at Liberty State Park? Okay? Do you realize that the local colleges like Hudson County Community College, St. Peter's University, and New Jersey City University, do you know what they pay out of pocket when it comes to their graduation ceremonies? Do you realize what it costs those specific colleges and universities to pay the Prudential Center or to pay MetLife Stadium for their graduation ceremonies? Folks, that's money that they can keep in-house. And by having a venue at Liberty State Park, again, what better venue to celebrate you graduating with your associate's degree, your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, or your PhD than looking at Lady Liberty out in the forefront, out on Liberty Harbor, when you're inside of a theater, okay? When you're able to watch your boys and girls play football, softball, baseball, run track and field, play soccer, okay, at a facility that can seat maybe 5,000 people. Why not? Why not have that available for residents instead of subjecting kids and their parents to go to these antiquated and, let's be honest, these fiscally like degenerative facilities that we see throughout Jersey City, okay? I don't know about you folks, but during the summertime, I don't mind driving down the shore once in a blue moon to go to, let's be honest, the PNC Bank Arts Center. Folks, have you ever driven down the shore, catch a concert there? It's a great venue. It's a pain in the ass to get to, and it's a pain in the ass to get out of it once the concert's there, okay? Why not have a venue like this in Liberty State Park? Why not make Liberty State Park an attractive destination for artists from all genres to come to Jersey City and Liberty State Park to perform at a 7,000-seat concert venue or to be at a football stadium, okay? Folks, it's a no-brainer here. What Bob Hurley and the People's Park Foundation are offering, to be honest with you, and what they're urging people to get behind. You can clean up Liberty State Park. You can clean up what's contaminated. You can clean up what's dirty there, but you can also make it amenable to not just residents in Hudson County, specifically in Jersey City, but to residents from all across the state that want to go to Liberty State Park. They want to look at Lady Liberty. Okay? Again, you want to talk about democracy. You want to talk about preserving democracy, the images of democracy. You want to preserve optics, folks. Let's clean up Liberty State Park. You can clean up the contaminated areas. You could also make it a very attractive destination to visit, whether it's for a concert, whether it's for a festival, whether it's to watch, hey, high school championship games from any sports. Folks, Bob Hurley and the People's Park Foundation, they got it right. Sam Pessin and Friends of Liberty State Park don't. And when Ravi Bala rallies behind your cause, that tells you everything you need to know about how intellectually bankrupt it is, just like Ravi Bala. Let's stay in Jersey City, and a thank you to Mark Kusow from the Jersey Journal for his reporting on this very important story. Now, Jersey City mayoral candidate and former governor Jim McGreevey took a shot at another landmark city project last week, questioning everything from the price tag of the Lowe's Jersey Theater renovations to the competency of the group actually managing the project. The former governor, who said last week that plans to open a satellite Pompidou Center in Jersey City and Journal Square should be ditched, well, guess what? He's now raising concerns over the rising costs and delays in transforming the Lowe's Theater in the heart of Journal Square from a historic movie house into an A-list entertainment venue. He did not go as far as calling for the project to be canceled, though, so let's be very clear. He did say, quote, "The theater's renovation presents an opportunity to revitalize and contribute to the Journal Square neighborhood. Yet any project in which Jersey City engages in must be well-planned, detailed, appropriate, given the city's other commitments and responsibilities." Once again, bravo to Jim McGreevey for stating the obvious on that one, and good for him. McGreevy's statement drew a quick rebuke from Hudson County District 2 Commissioner Bill O'Day, who coincidentally is running against Jim McGreevy in the upcoming 2025 mayoral contest. I don't think McGreevy understands development. Now, O'Day, who's involved in the Lowe's project as a role with the Elizabeth Development Company, said once you get inside of historic buildings and start to really design the work and layout of it, you find things that are going to cost more money to restore or to renovate. Now, repurposing the 94-year-old landmark is considered an integral part of Mayor Stephen Phillips' plan to revitalize Journal Square as a major development boom as it's taking place in the neighborhood itself. Folks, you're seeing these big buildings, you're seeing high-cost rentals, you're seeing, let's be honest, a very different Journal Square than you saw 5, 10, even 15 years ago. Now, again, I applaud Jim McGreevy on this. Again, there are plenty of issues in Jersey City to address. The public schools that need sort of a bigger budget, maybe the addition of a new school in Jersey City, the idea once again of fully funding the police department, making sure that we're addressing crime, not just in downtown and the Heights, but in the really dump parts of Jersey City, like Greenville, Ocean Avenue, Bergen Avenue, Martin Luther King, the South Side, the West Side. I mean, again, folks, these are not attractive places to live. No matter how many developers put up these high cost rentals and these condos, folks, you couldn't give a building away to me to live in that dump part of Jersey City. But again, folks, this is what the next meeting is going to have to address. Crime, development, overdevelopment in many cases, rising rents, property taxes. Quite honestly, folks, when it comes to a landmark venue like the Lowe's Theater, sure, it's great to go to, it's great to be in there. But again, priorities, folks. And you know what? Kudos to Jim McGreevy for having some this early on during this mayoral election in Hudson County's largest city. That's our show for this week. Once again, if you want to check out all the outstanding programming brought to you by the leader in independent media right here in Hudson County, it is indeed the Hudson Media Group. Please go to their websites, www.hmgtvshows.com, as well as www.livestream.com/hmgtv. Don't forget to like the Hudson Media Group on Facebook, of course. Follow it on Instagram and Twitter. And for anyone that watches it on YouTube, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. You'll be automatically notified of all the great content brought to you every single week by the Hudson Media Group, whether it's this program, the Hudson County View Live hosted by John Highness, Stick at Night with Hudson County Commissioner Anthony Romano, as well as other great talents working here at the Hudson Media Group. Folks, I can't say enough about the executive producer and CEO here, Patrick O'Melia, who, again, folks, as we approach 5 years here with the Hudson Media Group, I cannot be thankful enough to him for his belief in my abilities, and more importantly also, folks, the great people I work with here in the production staff that make this show possible every single week. It's not easy, folks, to edit programs like this, and you know what? Kudos to the great staff working here that make the shows watchable, and again, so professional every single time you put it on your smartphone, your tablet, your PC, or your MacBook. Always, folks, always remember, make sure you like Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe on Facebook, and of course, make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the handles provided below. And folks, I can't say enough. Without all of you watching at home, not just this program, but all of my media brand, hey, without you, the success of this program and all the others would not be possible. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much for still being a fan of Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe right here with the Hudson Media Group. And where's remember, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Talking Politics right here, as I said, with the Hudson Media Group. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 50 Latino, as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. And certainly, folks, I'll keep being the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media because my level of honesty is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Folks, have a great rest of your week. Hopefully, daylight savings time is right around the corner. Let's get to that warm weather hopefully soon here. I appreciate you tuning in, folks. And as always, thanks for stopping by.